All right, everyone, get ready. Because today, we're diving deep into the world of food trends.
That's right.
And not just the latest fads, but like the big picture of how we got here and what it means for you.
Yeah.
So from intermittent fasting
Right.
to superfoods, we're going to break it all down.
Absolutely.
You know, I have to admit, the term superfood always sounds a little bit like, marketing hype to me.
Yeah.
But we're going to dig into the actual science behind some of these trendy foods
Yeah.
and see what's really going on.
For sure. And you know what's really interesting is that
What's that?
the way we eat today can actually be traced back thousands of years
Oh, wow.
to a time when our ancestors made a pretty dramatic shift
Really?
in how they got their food.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Yeah. So think about the Neolithic agricultural revolution. Okay.
Around 10,000 BCE.
10,000 BCE.
That's when humans went from hunting and gathering to farming.
That's a big change.
Huge.
Yeah.
Like imagine instead of chasing down your dinner, you've got a field of wheat
Right.
or a herd of sheep that you're raising yourself.
Yeah, that's a game changer.
Totally revolutionized the way people lived.
Mm-hmm.
But it also had a big impact on their diets.
I bet. In what way?
Well, for starters, instead of having this huge variety of foods,
Right.
like you would if you were hunting and gathering,
Yeah.
people started relying on a smaller number of staple crops.
So less diversity in their diet.
Exactly. And you know what happens when you eat the same things over and over again?
I'm guessing not good things.
Not always.
Yeah.
You miss out on all those vitamins and minerals.
Right. Makes sense.
So that's something to keep in mind. So basically, this shift towards agriculture,
Yeah.
it was a huge deal for humanity.
Absolutely.
But it also kind of set the stage for some of the nutritional challenges we're facing today.
In a way, yeah. And then fast forward a few thousand years, and you've got the Industrial Revolution.
Okay, another huge shift.
Right. Suddenly, we can mass produce food, which was revolutionary.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. More food, more people.
Right, it's like a win-win.
Well, not always. Because with mass production, you also start to see the rise of processed foods
Oh, right.
and all that added sugar, preservatives.
It's like every step forward comes with a catch.
It's true. And that brings us pretty much to the 20th century.
Which is when things get really interesting.
Right. We're talking fast food, convenience foods.
Mm-hmm.
The focus shifted from what's good for us to what's fast and easy.
Delicious.
Of course. But the consequences are becoming more and more clear.
What do you mean?
Well, the World Health Organization, they've reported a pretty alarming increase in obesity rates.
Really? How much of an increase are we talking?
Almost 3 times higher since 1975.
Wow, that is alarming.
It is. And it's a reminder that while we've made huge progress in food technology, we're still figuring out how to balance convenience with health.
It's a constant balancing act.
Absolutely.
So it seems like our modern diet has created some real challenges.
It has.
But this article you sent also dives into some potential solutions.
Yeah.
And one that really caught my eye was intermittent fasting,
Right.
which seems to be everywhere these days.
It really is.
I mean, you've got apps, you've got meal plans, you've got celebrities swearing by it.
It's true.
But honestly, I always thought it was just another trendy diet.
I can see why you'd think that.
But it's more than that.
It's not some new fad at all.
Really?
Yeah, humans have been fasting for centuries,
That's true.
often for religious or cultural reasons.
Right.
What's different now is that science is really starting to give us a better understanding
Okay.
of how fasting affects our bodies, like at a cellular level.
So we're actually figuring out why those ancient practices work.
Exactly.
I remember reading in this article about some studies from Johns Hopkins,
Yeah.
and they had some really interesting findings about intermittent fasting.
What did you think about those?
Well, they were talking about how it could help with weight loss
Right.
and even like cellular repair, which just blew my mind.
It's amazing what our bodies can do.
It really is.
And the exciting thing is it's not just hype. You know, there's growing evidence that intermittent fasting can lead to some pretty significant health benefits.
Like what?
Well, for example, improved heart health, reduced inflammation.
Okay.
And there was this review published in the New England Journal of Medicine.
That's a big deal.
Exactly.
So a very credible source.
It's one of the most respected medical journals out there.
Okay.
And what they found was intermittent fasting can improve things like insulin sensitivity and blood pressure.
Wow. And those are things that really matter.
Right. They're crucial for long-term health.
It's not just about fitting into a smaller size.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about improving your health from the inside out.
I love that. Okay, but let's get practical for a second.
Okay.
What does intermittent fasting actually look like?
So There are actually a bunch of different ways to do it,
Yeah.
but one popular one is the 16-8 method.
16-8.
Yeah, so you fast for 16 hours,
Okay.
and then you have an 8-hour eating window.
So that could be like skipping breakfast
Exactly.
and then having an early dinner.
You got it.
Okay.
Another one is the 5.2 diet,
5.2. Oh,
which is less about the daily fasting
Mhm.
and more about calorie restriction on certain days.
So how does that work?
Well, you eat normally for 5 days a week,
Okay.
and then for 2 non-consecutive days,
Mm-hmm.
you restrict your calories to around 500 or 600.
That sounds like it takes some planning.
A bit more planning, yeah.
What are some other ways?
You could try alternate day fasting.
Okay.
So you switch between a day of eating normally and a day of fasting. So there are definitely options out there.
It sounds like the key is finding what works for your lifestyle.
Exactly.
But this article also mentioned that more long-term studies are needed
That's true.
to really understand the full effects of intermittent fasting.
Yeah, a lot of the research so far has been, pretty short term,
Okay.
which is exciting.
Yeah.
But we definitely need more research to really say for sure what the long-term effects are.
Right. And who benefits the most from the different approaches?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've talked about how our eating habits have evolved over time, and we've even dived into intermittent fasting.
Right.
But there's one more food trend I really want to unpack,
Okay.
and that's superfoods.
Yeah.
I mean, the name itself sounds kind of like you're going to get superpowers or something.
It's a pretty bold claim.
It is. And this article you sent got me thinking,
Yeah.
is there really any science behind that?
Well, you're not going to find superfood listed in any medical textbook.
Right. It's not like an official term.
Exactly. It's more of a marketing term.
But these foods that get labeled as superfoods,
Yeah.
they do tend to have a lot of nutrients.
That's true.
So it's not totally made up.
Not at all. Many of them have some pretty impressive nutritional profiles.
Like, what are some examples that come to mind?
Well, quinoa, for one.
Quinoa. Yeah, that's been really popular lately.
And for good reason. It's packed with protein.
More than other grains, I've heard.
Yeah, it's a complete protein, which is pretty rare for a plant-based food.
So that means it has all the essential amino acids.
Exactly. And it's a good source of fiber, too, which is great for digestion.
It's amazing how some of these foods that have been around for centuries are suddenly becoming trendy.
It's like we're rediscovering ancient wisdom.
Totally. And speaking of ancient wisdom, what about turmeric?
Turmeric.
Yeah, it seems like it's in everything these days.
I know, right? It's having a real moment.
What's so special about turmeric?
Well, it contains this compound called curcumin.
Curcumin.
And curcumin has some pretty potent anti-inflammatory properties.
So it's like nature's ibuprofen?
Well, not exactly, but studies have linked it to some pretty impressive health benefits.
Like what?
Potentially reducing joint pain,
Oh, yeah.
protecting against some chronic diseases.
Wow, turmeric is going on my shopping list.
I'm telling you, it's a good one.
What about blueberries?
Blueberries, those are a classic.
They always seem to be at the top of those superfood lists.
They're like tiny antioxidant powerhouses.
Antioxidants, what are those again?
They're like these little warriors in your body
Right.
that help protect your cells from damage.
Damage from what?
From things like pollution,
Okay.
sun exposure,
Right.
even just the normal process of aging.
So we want more antioxidants.
Absolutely.
Bring on the blueberries.
That's the spirit. But remember, it's all about balance.
Right. Not just blueberries all day long.
Exactly. No one food holds the key to perfect health.
It's about eating a variety of healthy foods.
Exactly. And listening to your body.
And it seems like technology is playing a bigger and bigger role in that these days.
It really is. We've got personalized nutrition plans, AI-powered health trackers.
It's a lot to keep up with.
It can be, but it's also pretty exciting.
It is. It feels like the future of food is changing right before our eyes.
It definitely is. And you know what that means?
What's that?
More knowledge, more options, more power to take control of our own health.
I like the sound of that.
Me too.
Yeah.
It's an exciting time to be interested in food and nutrition.
Well said. And on that note, I think we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have, from ancient agriculture to modern superfoods.
It's been a wild ride through the world of food trends.
Absolutely. But hey, that's what we're here for.
To dive deep.
That's right.
Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
It was great having you. And to our amazing listeners out there, thanks for joining us as always.
Until next time.
Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep into the fascinating world of food and nutrition.